Hello, Grissom Choir. This is Level 5 Music Theory Review. The main concept in Level 5 is being able to draw and identify major intervals and perfect intervals. The major intervals being a major second, a major third, a major sixth, and a major seventh, and those perfect intervals being a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, and a perfect eighth. Specifically being able to draw and identify them in the key that is given, in that major key. So remember, you always have to think like you're in the key of the note that is given, which is 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. You will count the bottom note as 1 when doing the interval. Then you will find those accidentals and put them to the left of the note on the staff. So let's take a look at our first example. We are looking for a uppercase 3, which is a major third, above the note that is given to you. So we have to identify that note first. That note is an E flat. So that note being an E flat, we have to think like we are in the key of E flat major. E flat is a flat key and it has 3 flats in it. B flat, E flat, and A flat. Next, we have to draw a third above that E flat. So we have to count the bottom note as 1. So if we count the bottom note as 1, that will be 1, 2, 3, and we draw that note right there on that top, above the top line. We now have to think like we're in the key of that bottom note. We've already identified the flats that are in that key. That top note is a G, and we can see that G is not one of the notes that is listed in that key signature. So a major third above E flat would be what we wrote, a G, and that is the end of that example. So again, that process, we have to list the flats or sharps that are in the major key of a given note. We count the bottom note as 1 and go up the staff the given interval. We draw that note on the line in the space that we get to. If the note that we drew is listed in the key ingredients, if it's one of the sharps or one of the flats that we identified, we put that accidental on the left side of the note. If it is not listed, you leave it natural. You don't put a sharp and you don't put a flat. So that example we just did, in that first example, the key is E flat, which has 3 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat. We count up 3 notes, and we draw a note on G. Since G is not listed in the B flat, E flat, A flat, we leave it alone, which means that that major third above E flat is a G. Let's look at this next example. We're looking for a perfect fifth above that note being F sharp. So we draw F sharp. We have to now think like we're in the key of F sharp and list the sharps that are in that key. That would be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and E sharp. Those 5 sharps are in the key of F sharp major. We count the bottom note as 1 and we go up 5, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would draw a note right there. That note is the third space of the treble clef, which is a C. We can look down at the sharps that we drew, and C sharp is sharp in the key signature of F sharp major, so we have to draw an F sharp next to it. We have to draw a C sharp next to it. So a perfect fifth above F sharp is C sharp. Let's do this next one together before we go independent. We're looking for a major seventh above that note. The third line of the treble clef is B. B is a sharp key. We have to think like we're in the key of B major. That would be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. Those 5 sharps are in the key of B major. Counting the bottom note as 1, we will count up 7. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that the first ledger line would be 7. In the treble clef, that is an A. An A is one of the sharps that we listed as being sharp, so we have to put the sharp symbol next to that A. A major seventh above B is A sharp. What I want you to do now is to pause the video, Complete the rest of these examples, play it back, and we'll see if you get them right. Moving on, this next one, we're looking for a perfect eighth above D flat. You do not even have to go through the entire process that we learned today when you have a perfect eighth, because a perfect eighth is an octave. It's the exact same note, just up an octave. So we know this to be D flat, so we go all the way up 8 notes, and we draw that note on the D line, and then put a flat next to it. It's the exact same note, just up an octave, a do up to the high do. Next, we're looking for a major second above F. So we will draw that note right there. That will be our second. The key of F is a flat key. It has one flat. It is oddball F, and that would be B flat. B flat is not the note that we drew right there, so a major second above F would be that note, which is G. A perfect fourth above D. We gotta think like we're in the key of D major. D is a sharp key, so that would be F sharp and C sharp, just 2 sharps in the key of D major. We draw that perfect fourth above, which would land us on the top space with a space above the top line, which is a G. G is not one of the notes that we listed, so a perfect fourth above that D would be the G. A major third above B flat. So we're in the key of B flat. Those flats would be B flat, E flat, just those 2 flats. We draw the third above, 1, 2, 3, and we will land on the D. Since D is not one of the flats listed in the key of B flat major, that major third above B flat would be the D. And a major sixth above A. A being a sharp key, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, just 3 sharps, F, C, G. Count that bottom note as 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That being an A and that top note being an F. F is sharp in the key of A major, so we have to put that sharp symbol next to it. So a major sixth above A is F sharp. That is our main concept, drawing and identifying major and perfect intervals. Moving on to some definitions. Poco, meaning little. Molto, meaning much. And sub, or subito, meaning instantly or suddenly. So we may have a poco rallentando, or a molto ritardando, or a subito piano, all of which will show us how to sing when it comes to their speed and our dynamics. Our last concept is time signatures with an 8 in the bottom. We've already learned about cut time. This will be the opposite of cut time. So the 16th notes will now be counted as 8th notes. So let's just look at this first example. It may seem confusing up front, but we have done several of these things already in class. 7/8 time signature. Top number tells us that there are 7 beats in the measure, and the 8th note will get the beat based off the 8 in the bottom. So this first measure would be 1 and, because the 8th note now gets the beat. So if the 8th note gets the beat, 16th notes are now half a beat. So that would be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 8th note getting the beat means that quarter note now gets 2 beats. So this would be 6 or 6 dash, or you could even do 6 parentheses 7, so long as you know that that 7 is encapsulated inside that quarter note. Next example, 1 and 2, 3, 4, that 5 is in there, 6 and 7 and. The last measure, 1 and 2, 3, 4, that being a dotted 8th note, we'll get the beat and a half, so this would be 4 and 6, 7. Looking at this entire line, it would be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 6 and 7 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 6, 7. 5/8 time signature, 5 notes in the beat, 5 beats per measure, and the 8th note gets the beat. So this would be 1, the 2 is in there, 3, 4, and 5, and then real quick, going down to the next example on that 6/8 time signature, 6 beats in the measure, 8th note gets the beat, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and the 5 and the 6 are in that dotted quarter note. The reason I jumped down to that next example is because I want you to finish out these last 2 measures on your own for both the 5/8 time signature line and the 6/8 time signature line. When you fill them in, play the video, and we'll see if you get them right. Second measure of the 5/8 time signature line would be 1, 2, 3 are in there. Again, you do not have to write the 2 and 3 so long as you have the 1 there and that the next beat is 4, 5, and last measure 1 and 3, 4. So this 5/8 line would be 1, 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 4, 5, and 1, and 3, 4, off. Finishing up the last 2 measures of the 6/8 line. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the last one is fun. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 6. This would be 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 6, off. Again, an 8 in the bottom of the time signature is the opposite of cut time. It works out to be a little bit easier in your brain than cut time. We learned about 8 in the bottom. We had some new we had some new definitions when it comes to our dynamics and our tempo. And then we have learned about drawing and identifying major intervals and perfect intervals based off of the note and the key that is given to you. Really important that you know everything on 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 for you to get this first concept of level 5.